Hello, viewer. This is Leadership Television. Welcome to a special interview session with Prince Malik Ado-Ibrahim, a businessman, politician, and renewable energy expert. Also, the CEO of Reset Nigeria, a youth-oriented movement aimed at providing the Nigerian youth with the right mindset and platform to actively and positively contribute to national development. Welcome to Leadership Television, Prince Malik.
Okay.
It's nice
Good
to
to
have
see you
you.
again.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Yeah. And for want of time, we need to go straight to business. Now, Prince Malik, tell us about your organization, Reset Nigeria. What's it all about?
Um, I started Reset Nigeria with the mindset of trying to get younger Nigerians involved in what is really ownership in their own country. The biggest problem I found was that of people of my um, ilk were not really giving an opportunity for young people to understand what Nigeria is about. So um, there's the basic stuff, of course, getting your PVC, getting registered, getting to know where your polling stations might be. But why are you doing all these things? So Reset Nigeria was to reorient them in some very basic things. Reorientation was really the principal part of it. Empowering them was another. Um, this for me was really the key thing for going forward. If you're not empowered, if you're not patriotic, if you don't know your country, you're just living in no man's world. And voting gives you ownership in Nigeria. So our traditional politicians are not empowering these this young generation. So the reset was there to do this. If we're not going to get that from government, then it's incumbent upon us to do some of that stuff. So that's why we set up reset to try to get to the hearts and minds of young Nigerians.
All right, so for how long now do we have Reset Nigeria in place, and what have you achieved so far in equipping the youth with the right knowledge and right knowledge?
The knowledge is important. We started this journey in 2016,
Okay.
and I've been to various universities. I've set up various conferences. Really, we're not initially when I started this, it was not pushed towards any particular political organization. What I really wanted to do was to try to give a sense of ownership, and that reorientation, as I mentioned, is geared towards Nigerians feeling that this is their country. I belong here. I'm a Nigerian. Sense of patriotism, which is I think is something that we haven't embodied of late. And the classic example is that Nigerians are fantastic when there's a football match and we're fighting against somebody, but when there is nothing to fight against, we fight against each other. And so, one of the elements of joy that I've had in my life is to experience what patriotism does for foreign countries and observe that. But even in the alumni system in the US, when you're in school there, it's all about your college and you go to war for your college. And I really want young Nigerians to not go to war in the traditional, in the conventional sense, but to take a piece of Nigeria, own that piece of Nigeria, and let us be a better nation for that. And that's why resetting Nigeria back to the core values is what I'm really about. And if we can do that, we should be able to rise and ride any wave, whether it's economic or patriotic about fighting the enemy that we have, whether it's Boko Haram or bandits or our neighbors. It doesn't really matter.
It means Malik, apart from equipping Nigerian youth with the right knowledge and other things for them to positively contribute to national development, a lot of people are also complaining about lack of economic power. So let's look at the economy, the state of the economy. What do you have is poor. Okay, so
And we have to be honest with ourselves. We have found ourselves in this position for a myriad of different reasons. The biggest of it is that the COVID situation really caused the economy to slow down. We cannot fault government for that. That's a force of nature about itself. The last 3 years have been pitiful globally. But the fundamentals haven't changed. We were lucky we didn't have the strife and strain that other countries had.
exactly.
And we should have retooled in that period of time. And that retooling, for me, is something that a lot of us are not paying attention to.
Right.
And I'll give that example clearly in growing up, oil and gas was the majority of our GDP. Today, it's only 7.4%. I've harped upon this many times. The informal economy in Nigeria is strong. And I'll give you some examples of that. You look at our entertainment business, our musicians. Thank God for the talent that God has given this country because we are a global phenomenon. This is a part of the economy the government doesn't touch. That informal economy generates circa 19% of the GDP of this country.
The creative economy.
The creative economy is thriving because government is not involved. Whether it's Paystack or Flutterwave or Davido or WizKid or Burner Boy, we're not, the government's not there. It thrives. And this is why I've always been conscious of the fact that we must let government know that give us the enabling environment to do great things, and Nigerians will be at the top of every tree there is. We are there, built for greatness. And look at our sports. Back in the day when our football players were the football players on planet Earth, the JJs and the Mokachis and the Kanus of this world, the Yakini, all of these things were what made Nigeria great. We were exporting our greatness. For some reason, in this particular iteration of Nigerian governance, we haven't seen that being pushed. That brings in a lot of money into the country. Sports is a phenomenal part of what a country of average of 19. We should be having soccer players in every country in this world. We have the tools to do that. We should be training facilities. We should have our stadiums at full capacity. Olympics, we were so good. We had athletes all over the place. And it's not just about running, it's what comes with that. By being successful, you're economically empowered because you get sponsorship deals from Nike or Bonvita or Milo or wherever it is. And that is a trickle down effect to the economy. We haven't done those things. And we're looking at these young men and women and saying, look, we cannot give you everything you need. Government should not be in the business of doing business. Whether it's NAJCOMSTAT or NNPC, it doesn't make any difference. Privatize it, give the enabling environment, generate income so that Nigerians can feel a sense of worth. And that economic power or lack of is what we're experiencing today. There's no ingenuity, there's no effort to be anything other than copy and paste from many, many years ago. What does the future look like? I bet you if you sat down with a minister today and asked him, youth and sports, what does the future look like? What are your dreams? What are the aspirations? What is the next sporting venture that Nigeria can do? Are we in rugby sevens? Are we in cricket? And if we are, what fundamentals have you put in place so that schools are doing this? Baseball, basketball. Remember the days of the dream, Hakeem Olajuwon. We thought many other players would come. Nigerian basketball could be something. The Olympics we did very well, but it dies after that, and that was privately done. That was not government. Government just took, the kudos for us doing well. That informal economy needs to give birth to a different Nigeria, and these young people need to be pushed in that vein. And I say this because I have personal experience. I was in Formula One. I was in a sport where it was very difficult for a black man to break into. And I came in first as a driver in the lower sporting ventures, and then I was lucky enough to buy my team with Deutsche Bank at the time. But the difficulty of being black, Muslim, in a sport that's dominated by white people for 50 years was huge. And I got the backlash. And Black lives didn't matter those days. It was just, let's just talk him out. So I want to encourage Nigerian young people to say, dream beyond the boundaries. Going to these countries is fantastic, but go as an ambassador of Nigeria, show the greatness. And we should be able to train them well here, give them the right kind of enabling environment to go and be ambassadors of this country outside. And that's why I'm key about that economy. Now, there are other things in the economy that can. This whole COVID issue that we just mentioned, if we had taken the time to understand that earlier on, Nigeria wasn't getting the kind of illnesses that we were getting, we could have had the time to retool ourselves and say, here's the national conference. What do we think Nigeria will be post-COVID? There was a lot of chatter, but nothing. And I think that in the coming years, we have got to look at Nigeria as a producer of things other than the norm. Yes, we take oil out of the ground. What do we produce? We take a lot of pride in saying we have gas, but what do we produce? We have the petrochemical plants. But we're also blessed with the sun. and I keep harping on this, if we do not understand what that means, it's not just about power, those are jobs. The renewable energy industry produces more jobs.
So I think we have time to go to that
Okay,
area. Now, you pointed out a lot of loopholes in the trajectory of the national economy.
Yeah.
Now, on whose doorstep are we going to place the blame? Is it the leaders, they lack the requisite knowledge of managing the economy, or just about is politics that is militating against, right economic policies to put the nation on the right footing?
Um, May God forgive me for what I am about to say, but it only compels me to say this in Nigeria. We failed ourselves.
Okay,
Government is not the panacea for what ails us.
so we have ourselves to blame.
We have ourselves to blame. We don't need government to tell us that we can be brilliant at anything. We should know. We should try. We have great education, which even that has been
So, Prince Malik, government is expected to provide what we call enabling
absolutely,
environment. So,
absolutely.
in the absence of
Well, you look at Paystack. I'll give that as a good example. Government didn't produce anything.
that,
This is ingenuity, Nigerian ingenuity at work, and there are other companies like that. Flutterwave, the same thing. It's our ingenuity. People are coming here. Serena Williams has just invested in African startups because you've got to understand that necessity is the mother of invention, and we have done that. And Nigerians will invent a way to survive and to do well and to thrive to be the best. Give these young men and women the vision, the aim, the goal, and we will score every time. And that's what leadership has failed to do, in my opinion. And the reason for that, it's older,
okay.
it's less exposed, it is not inventive, it is happy to copy and paste. So what we were doing in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, we're doing in 2021, 22, and we'll be doing it until 2023, unless by that time we find new leadership that's a little bit more innovative, clearer thinking, position Nigeria. Because if you do not have a leadership that is visionary, we're going to be standing still, praying for that to happen. We must realize that we're close to the edge, so we need to innovate, and that will come with young leadership or younger leadership. And that young is a mistaken term used to identify something that really is not about your age, it's more about your state of mind. And I explain that in a different way. God bless General Buhari and his presidency. He got what he wanted, and he's come and he's done what he needs to do, and his time will pass. What happens next? This is my fear. If we bring in the same as we've had, do not complain, because we're going to get the same as we've had. If you put in all the more uninventive leadership, more traditional leadership, we are going to be stuck in the quagmire that we're in today. We need to search ourselves and say, what do we need? What represents Nigeria best, and who has that vision? If we do not start looking at those people now, then we're going to be we have ourselves to blame.
All right, that's a nice one. Okay, Prince Malik, let me ask you about another burning issue in the polity, and that is for subsidy. Uh, in your own view as a businessman, do you think we need the subsidy to remain in place, or we should face reality by removing it?
That reality is a bitter pill, and to swallow that pill, we need to prepare the population, not only in their hearts and minds, but what is the substitute to this? What is this still this enabling environment issue? And a future leader, somebody that's got a vision, will say, we're going to pivot to electric vehicles. We're blessed with the sun. Let's be able to use that. So I want electric buses. I want taxis that run on electricity. And it's not electricity from the grid.
Metro
It's
train.
all of that. And then you can, Mary Antoinette said, if you cannot give your people bread, give them cake. If you're going to take the subsidy away, give them something else to live on. So our buses will run more efficiently. We're not looking for hydrocarbons to run diesel or petrol. We're running off the energy of the sun. And if we do it properly, these electric vehicles will take Nigeria into the next century easily. Trains, buses, taxis, delivery vehicles, our utilities. we're blessed with the sun. And that vision, if you don't have it, you cannot see it. There's nothing I can tell you. You can go to all the examination halls in the world and learn the practical stuff. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't experienced it, if you haven't worked in it, it might as well be abracadabra. So I believe that that future leader needs to understand the subsidy must go. Talk to the people. They're not dumb and stupid. Tell us why it needs to go. Tell us what you're doing. Give us that enabling environment to transition into a different kind of thinking. Sell our oil and gas so that we can have a better tomorrow. But let's not import this stuff. And that's what's killing us. But again, I will have to ask this question. We started crude at $40 in our budget in 2021. Crude oil prices were around 74. We're still borrowing, but we have this massive gap between the $40 budgeted and the $74, the reality of oil and gas. Where did that money go? Where is
excess crude account?
That excess crude account should be buoyant. And that buoyancy should allow us to have bought electric vehicles in, prepared our people, get ready to transition into a more modern, more cleaner Nigeria with environmental impact. We should be leading Africa in the clean energy and clean environment. And that's an economy in itself. But if you're not thinking in that way, if you don't understand what it means, we're still going to be trying to burn this hydrocarbons thinking that it's going to last forever.
Well, that brings me to the issue of transparency, corruption. When you ask where is the proceed of the oil going to, but you answer that when we return from a short break. We'll be going on a short break. When we come back, I'm still with Prince Malik Ado-Ibrahim, who has been speaking on the state of the nation, particularly creative leadership and visionary leadership. We'll be back shortly.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Welcome back. It's still a special interview session with Prince Malik Ado-Ibrahim, businessman, politician, sports enthusiast, and name it, CEO, Reset Nigeria. Well, before we go on, we were talking about the oil industry. Now, we touched the issue of transparency and corruption. I know it's no gainsaying that this has been the bane of our development. Now, can you throw more light on these two issues, transparency and corruption in the oil industry?
Well,
Because oil wealth, which Nigeria is blessed with, is not working for Nigeria. So why?
well, you've got in my opinion, again, I'm a student of Nigeria and I am trying to understand what goes wrong. Why is it that when we get to that position of power, we forget why we got there? And did we really elect people based on some promise of change? It's always been the same thing. I'm going to take away this, I'm going to give you more electricity, and nothing gets done. Better roads, nothing. Nothing is better. And the premise I always come to, in my understanding, is that when we look at where Nigeria is, it's easy to look at the revenue from oil and gas. It's easy money. You don't have to work for it. It gets taken out of the ground. It gets collected. But do we see the value of that collection? Are our roads better? Is our healthcare better? Are our schools better? Is security better? Where is that money going to? The only thing that's functioning with that money, that oil and gas funding, and is pushing for that oil and gas funding, is always governance. It goes to the Senate, the House, even the judiciary doesn't get the kind of money it's necessary that it needs to. It's for the largesse of governance. It's not trickling down to the people. There's no one Nigerian that can come out and say, yes, I'm in the private sector. I'm not a civil servant. I'm not working at an NPC that I'm seeing good salaries and all that. I'm a farmer. I take my goods to the market, but my road is terrible. Why hasn't government fixed that road? These are the things that we have got to do to reset Nigeria. We've got to go back and look at the fundamental elements that make Nigeria or will make Nigeria a better country. When that money is too easy to make, it will cause corruption. And if you look at our economy, that corruption is almost visible. There's no question of the transparency that we're seeing is in where the corruption, where the money from the corruption goes. Name any city, any state in Nigeria, you'll see buildings that are half built. You can't trace the owner, but by the time you get down to it, some palm sec, some minister, some something. Why isn't that building been turned into a university or a school or something? Take it away from them. That's the way to get rid of that corruption. They got four different interest rates, foreign exchange rates for the Nigerian currency. If I'm getting it at 100 and you need to buy it from me from 500, I'll divert it from where I needed to have it and take it. So you've
Round
opened it.
tripping.
If it's easy, they will do it. We don't need to work hard to make money in Nigeria if these sort of loopholes are there. But it never trickles down to the man in the street. And so, as far as he's concerned, why am I voting? My vote doesn't count. And even if it counted, this is what I'm going to get. Until you have a leader that is a benevolent dictator of sorts, and I don't mean it in the Idi Amin, Gaddafi type sense, somebody who sees Nigeria and dictate the pace and the fortune of Nigeria by not looking at what is easy to get, but what is going to be valued by us as Nigerians. That's a country we want to live in. That's the country that we want to walk with that green passport outside this country and say, yes, I'm Nigerian, all right. Fear me. And that is where I think we must begin to look at who and what we want Nigeria to be. This is an amazing country. We're blessed with so many things, but we are still just lackluster in our willingness to work hard for it. And here we look at other countries, and I say to myself, do we really realize what these countries did to be where they are? Every country that has this massive patriotic spirit has gone to war. First World War, Second World War, Crimea War, British have fought wars all over the place. French have. They built patriotism. The flag means something. Country has never fought an enemy outside. We fight within ourselves. So we haven't built anything to fight for. And so our politicians are not fighting for anything but pockets. We need to change. I'm a businessman, I'm not a politician, but this is my country. I need to fight for my country. And I want every other Nigerian that's listening to this to understand. If you don't fight for something, it's not of any value to you. So you don't go vote. And if you don't vote, you're living in somebody else's country, the country of the person who voted. We really need to consider ourselves lucky that we haven't disintegrated into a terrible banana republic. But we're one bad leader away from that happening, and we've got to right the ship as quickly as possible.
All right, so let's go to another area which is where you are more familiar, the energy sector.
Yes.
Now, there's no guessing that we have an energy crisis on our hands. Nigerians pay for electricity supply, but they can get on the average 12 hours straight in a day. It's very, very difficult. Then 2 days ago, we woke up to see stories of banks taking over electricity distribution companies, Abuja and Ibadan, because of their inability to pay their loans. So there is energy crisis. As an expert, what is the way out? Because the government seems to be dilly-dallying. Yeah, they are not embracing any clear-cut, way out of this. So as an expert, what is the way out of this crisis?
In order to go forward, we must understand where the past is.
Exactly.
These discos and gencos were gotten through really there was no merit there. You know somebody, you had the right connections, and you got the discos.
Yeah,
Well,
I hosted the guest, I think, earlier in the week, and he said the same thing, that the acquisition process was
flawed.
fraught with a lot of irregularities.
Absolutely.
And that's why we are here.
And then I'm buying an asset, and I go to the banks to borrow that money. That doesn't make any sense. The external investors also came in looking to bring money into our economy. They've taken money out of our economy. They made promises they couldn't keep. Everybody was looking at the wrong thing. If they'd taken the money they had and reinvested it properly, better infrastructure, we're still on the same transmission network as we were many years. You can generate all you want, and if you can only take X, it's only going to take X. The discos, there's no new wires. Most countries, the wires are underground. We're still looking at the ADC guy or the NDP or the NDPHC or whoever it is coming to fix it's wrong. It's wrong. So first of all, the structure is wrong. The next part of it is, in order for it to be able to be expanded, it's going to take many years. We don't have that time. We're a growing nation, an average age of 19 years old. These people want to be on their phones, on their computers. They want to be educated online. Without power, you're not getting anywhere. Our industry is dead. It's technology that fixes that. And it's renewable technology. It's there. We're sitting blessed with everything that everybody else outside wishes they had. But I'm sorry, but whoever's in charge of this power is not understanding that. I think you jump in your car and put your AC on or go home is going to give you what you need. Solar parks can be built. 14 companies were given the rights to build solar parks with this administration in 2014. 2016. Everything was done perfectly. Not one of them was able to be successful because the government reneged on the deal. Embed pulled out from the negotiated deals that were signed in front of the world. Investors came in. And what that would allow us to do was take renewable energy and place it where it's needed, where the grid couldn't get to. These massive holes, we could embed power. It wasn't done. Missed opportunity, lack of leadership. And you just can't help but wait and say to yourself, what are we doing? Why is it that we have great ideas and then we just drop the ball? It's sound bites. Everybody wants to hear the right thing, but nobody has the energy to go and fix it. The next man in charge of this country must be the chief executive officer of Nigeria Incorporated. He must get this country back on track. He must roll his sleeves up. Fix the fundamentals which Reset has set aside. Fix your roads, better security. It's not difficult. Get your healthcare back up and running so that Nigerians feel that they belong to a Nigeria. Jobs. This is not difficult, but it takes leadership, and power will fix all our ills.
All right, Prince Ibrahim. That was a nice one from you. But let's look at the issue of youth and gender in Nigeria. Of recent, we have seen even small children being targeted for inexplicable killings. And we also have the issue of gender violence against women. So, what's your take on this, and what's the way out?
A society that doesn't value its women, first of all, is going nowhere in a hurry.
Okay.
They are 50% of this population,
Yes,
and they
I do.
gave birth to the other 50% of this population. We're supposed to cherish them,
Okay.
nourish them, nurture them. If our economy, if our livelihood sees women of value, there's no way the kind of gender violence we're seeing will happen. This thuggery of cultism and suppression of the female vote is barbaric. We all have mothers. We all know what we want to do when we see our mothers. We know the joy they bring. They brought us to this world. Without them, we don't exist. Why are you going to stifle somebody else's potential parent? And so, and even within Reset, we have this gender inclusivity element, which is to go out there and tell women, be empowered, go and vote, go and find persons that represent what is fundamentally important to you. And they'll come out with everything that will fix Nigeria. I need electricity because I want to cook meals. I want my children to be able to go to school. I need good roads so I can go to the market and come back. I need to be able to feel secure at home. A woman will tell you these things and she will go out and do them. So we need to include them in governance. We need to include them in the conversation of the new Nigeria, young and old. And more importantly, these young ones that are coming up must know that they belong to a country that they feel at home with. Not everybody wants to run out and go to Europe and get an education. Yes, it would be fantastic. But we can do the same thing here. We have very well educated people. We have great scholastic individuals here. But our universities look like barracks. Things must change, and we must reset Nigeria at the best opportunity we can get. And 2023 is that time.
And like the Reset Nigeria also has something particularly for women empowerment,
Without a doubt.
integration, giving them sense of belonging.
And this is for us very clear. We've gone to various associations around the world and seen what they did to encourage women. And this is from the suffragettes in the UK, where they had to fight to get their votes. Women can design the country. We push them out of that because they will speak the truth. They will speak the truth to power. A strong woman is of more value politically than a strong man, because a strong man will have different motivation. A strong woman wants to go home to her kids. And we at Reset believe that inclusivity and gender inclusivity, especially with fertile minds, will make Nigeria a tremendous country to be reckoned with going forward.
Finally, Prince Malik, let's look at another issue where you are also familiar very well with the issue of sport. You are a sports person with international exposure. You own Formula One team in the US. So, in what way have you replicated that kind of fit on the Nigerian sporting scene?
I will tell this. I will say this as much as we can here in the south from every venue. Nigeria is just blessed.
Okay.
We are, if, even in swimming. I'm sure we'll be able to find somebody who will be able. But where is the encouragement? When our basketball players won the basketball Africa Basketball Cup, what happened next was a travesty of justice. They won. They didn't get their pay. They were disrespected. The presidency didn't invite them until they were sort of all sorts of hand wrangling to be able to do that. I mean, what are we? Are we a country that has value for its citizens, or are we just a country that, when we are successful, they come out? But to enable us to do these things, yeah, we're not. Our leaders, so-called leaders, are not doing the right thing. An administration I would love to see will see these individuals as the best possible ambassador. That we want people to come here and train with us. We should not be looking at soccer only. We're a one-sport nation. You look at UFC. Adesanya had to go to New Zealand to be world champion. Usman is in Houston. I mean, what are we thinking? We have these people, and we celebrate them when they go outside, but at home they're nothing. The next leader of this country must realize that that is a way out of insecurity in this nation, when these kids have somewhere to go, to train, to value their bodies and self, and create value for themselves. That is wealth. Because Adesanya is not sitting there looking for 200 naira, he's looking for 2 million naira. And there should be more Nigerians like this. Other countries are doing it. Like the Soviets, the British, the South Africans are dominating sports, whether it's cricket or rugby. We should be there. And I believe that if we are thinking in right-minded people thinking properly, we must realize that all this youth, just tiredness of this nation can be fixed by giving them. The idle mind is the devil's playground. Give them something to believe in. Give them a flag to wear. Give them responsibility. Give them hope, and we have a completely different country. And it will be one of the reasons why insecurity is much less in Nigeria. I can't wait for that day to come.
So, sports can be a tool to empower the youth to
Absolutely.
actually tackle insecurity.
Absolutely.
But finally, do you think government is actually leveraging on this tool?
No, not at all. Not at all. If they had, we wouldn't have half the problems we have. If they had, we wouldn't have kids that are moving, the wrong kind of things around this nation, whether it's arms or rustling for cows or kidnapping is a commercial activity. Why? If I was able to train 30, 40 new players and take them into the Premier League or American football or basketball or everything that a healthy human being can do, Nigerians can do at the top level, they will make an economy happen amongst themselves, because it will trickle down home. We bring so much money in from the diaspora back into Nigeria. These young men and women should be encouraged to look at the world as their playground, to look at the world as their economic development factor, to look at Nigeria as where I honed my skill and I went out there and I conquered the world with the Nigerian flag in my hand. And that's all I would pray for, that in 2023 onwards, we're beginning to get the message. Feed the young minds, feed that economy, and get us in a secure footing so that we're a better nation going forward. It's just that simple.
All right, pray so. Thank you for your time. We've been talking to Prince Malik Ado-Ibrahim. It's nice speaking with you.
Thank you.
And we hope to see more of you when you arise. Wish you best of luck in your future endeavor. Well, that has been Prince Malik Ado-Ibrahim, who has been talking to us on the state of the nation. My name remains Body Badiba. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.